first, it's your turn.
I just had a question again regarding the parking at the high school. Do you happen to know if there's rules about the senior parking or junior parking has changed or remained the same from last year or anything
I think
about it?
it's going to remain the same. They all feel it's a privilege that the seniors only are allowed to drive to the high school.
Okay, so what I want to say is that I appreciate, that's the rule, that's the rule. We struggled with it last year. My daughter had to quit her job because, I'm not supposed to say a name, but her big shot at the high school said no more, even though it's a job, and she had to quit the job. But now, this past week, between last week and early this week, my daughter's car was not working, and I drove her on a few days, her and my son, on a few of the mornings. And as I'm driving out, I saw, just in my drive-through, drop off and go, 4 juniors parking in the lot. I know, because my son's a junior, so I know these faces. And then the kids came home from school, and I said, what, this morning when I left, they would be blah, 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 and parking, and they said, yeah, they actually got called down today. So I said, oh, I guess that's going to be taken care of. I drop off the next day, the kids are parked there again. So she had to quit her job, and the one time we had a disaster at the house in the morning, I called and said, Mr.
Mr.
Big
Principal.
shot of the, I'm not supposed to say the position.
You could say Mr.
Legal
Chin.
Call the high school,
position.
that's
Called
okay.
the high school and said, I know she's not allowed to. We had a thing go on in the morning, which I'm not going to get into. I had no choice but to go, whatever, she had to go drive herself to school. And I emailed him, actually, I didn't even call. And he emailed me back a very sharp, regardless of what it was, you know the rule, and if I see her again, she will lose her privileges for next year. Okay, I could have just told her, sneak in the lot, park somewhere, I didn't. I said, you go in, I'm gonna call him and let him know, whatever. I got the sharp email back, I don't think I ever spoke to him about it again, but we abided by the rule. She never parked there again. And she lost the job. Now this year, we have all these juniors parking, it's brought to their attention, they're called down, and they're still parking. It was pointed out that one, or maybe 2 of them, had boyfriends that are seniors. They're using their pass because the senior goes to BOCE, so here, you use my pass. Another one of them, I believe, copied the pass. They know that this stuff is going on, because it went on last year. Only my kid had to get ridiculed and threatened and quit her job, but now it still goes on. My point is, he cannot pick and choose who has to abide by the rules.
How do you know they're picking and choosing?
Because I saw them parking with my eyes,
Did
and I
you-
saw them parking the next day.
Did you report it?
Yes.
They were reported, they were called down.
Oh, you-
In
that's-
fact,
is that a
5
fact?
of
I don't
them-
know.
Yes,
That's
5
a
of
fact?
them were called down. I only saw 4 of them with my own eyes, but 5 of them were called down. I don't know what their disciplinary thing, what they received, but to me, when I go to drop off the next morning and I still see 3 or 4 of the same group parking there with their phony passes, I'm not happy about it. I didn't make so much of a fuss last year. I asked, I pushed, but I didn't. Now I'm like, this is not right. You don't cherry pick who the rules are for and
Sure,
who they're
no, of
not.
course
That's
not.
not fair to the children. It's not a good message to them. He needs to be spoken to and get his stuff together.
Deirdre, can you report it? Because I'm assuming that you don't have real knowledge of that that's actually why they were called down. I don't have any knowledge of that.
Yeah.
So if you report it, then there's a paper trail and it can be followed up on. We can make sure that those students that you saw are checked on. Because we're all, I don't want to say that you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. You saw them, but and you're making what seems like realistic judgments that that's why they were called down. But we don't know that for sure. It could have just been a coincidence. And having seen them the next day, it's very possible that maybe that wasn't why they were called down. So I think the best thing to do is to report it and then follow up on it. If you don't get a response, then follow up with Dr. Adams so that those children can be, to a proper person and they can be looked at and why. And if it's someone who's sharing their past, then that person's privileges should be revoked.
I agree.
Can I ask this question?
Put your microphone on, please. Thank you.
I know when my son went here, he's 33 now, but when he went through here, he had a job as a junior, he was allowed to park his car because he had a job.
That's right.
I don't know, I don't know when it changed, but right now, I have to say, there are fewer kids, and they're gonna be fewer each year. But, you know, kids have to work. My son had to work. I made him go to work. And if you think I was gonna pick him up, take him to work, that wasn't gonna happen. But, I mean, there was no question about it. If you worked, you get a letter from the job.
We provided that.
I was on the board and I still provided all that stuff. And he was not given a courtesy because he was my son. It was the norm. Maybe, it should.
Linda, you gotta put your microphone on.
You know, it was never enforced
Bring that to
before,
the
so I
policy
guess he
committee.
chose to enforce it, then
He chose to
enforce
enforce
it.
it because it was a dangerous situation his first year
That
here.
one year, I agree.
And
That was a
the
crazy
truth is
year.
that the policy says seniors only. Because there are not enough spots. If every senior would have a car, there's still not enough spots. You'd have to go to a lottery. So if every senior walked in and said, I have keys to a car, we would have to go to a lottery because it would be unsafe.
Understood.
So right now, the policy says seniors only for that very reason, because there are not enough spots.
But at this
I
point,
understand, but
we're
we've
gonna lose
never,
100
ever had
we're gonna
every
lose
senior
150
have a
kids in
spot,
3
need a
years.
spot. We've never, ever in all years had anybody, well, every senior have a spot, and then there was not a spot left. That was the first year, and I agree with you, it was crazy. I didn't see that going on, but I had heard a lot about it. So I agree, but do we make a blanket statement for all the years to ever come, take away a nice little thing the kids had, instead of figuring out a way to make it work? Whether it be a lottery or, you know, whatever, the spots went out, they went out. I don't know, it just seemed like a little thing that he didn't really need to
Change the policy.
upset the apple cart over.
New board.
Last year was
I'm
bad, if
gonna
I ever see it again, we're not doing
I'm gonna
it. But
disagree.
it didn't.
He actually began to enforce the policy because he saw unsafe conditions. So you can say there weren't unsafe conditions if we let all our juniors, whether they have jobs or not, park, we're gonna get back in that unsafe condition. So right now, the policy states seniors only. You know, the policy committee actually looked at it. Mr. Costa came in and presented the amount of spaces that we have, the amount of kids who actually have permits out, the fact that they don't park every single day. He does not want an unsafe situation with young drivers. So, you know,
And a rule is a rule, I get it, I wasn't happy
and
about it.
I understand that that this rule
Yeah.
is not being enforced right now,
Right.
and we will make sure that it's enforced.
And with all of his numbers and all that, I'm sure he has never once posted the pictures that I have of the parking lot that is
Empty.
70%
Linda, you gotta turn your microphone on.
every single day, but nobody can park in. So they're parking in the neighborhoods, they're getting tickets, the residents are angry. There's just, when there's no reason for that sort of rule, then there's just no reason. So, that's
So
my
Linda, is that
opinion.
true that there's a good portion of the parking lot that's vacant during the day? You just said it's full, so now you.
No, I did not say it's full.
Say that.
I said that if every senior applied for a permit, there would not be enough spots to give every senior a spot. However, the amount of permits that are out are not used on a daily basis. They're used, maybe they're used every day, maybe they're not used every day. Maybe the child only uses the car one day a week when their mother doesn't have to work that morning. So he came to the policy committee last year at the bequest of the board because of what Mrs. Muncy talked about last year. He gave us the amount of kids who had applied for permits, the amount of spots that we had, and he was trying to alleviate unsafe conditions. So it was reviewed, and the policy committee said, no, leave it to be a senior privilege, because quite frankly, across Long Island, that is in place in most districts. So it was reviewed last year. And there are definitely spots empty. I go to the high school more than I'm at any other building, and there are definitely spots empty. I totally agree with that.
So what was the unsafe conditions?
We had juniors and seniors parking all over the place. They were parking on the grass, they were parking outside of the lines, they were parking all over the place because like a concert night or an art show night, every day at 7 o'clock in the morning with
One year
brand new
was bad.
drivers.
The one
So
year. But
it's unsafe.
enrollment is so much lower than that now, it really.
It's really not. There's still 500 kids per class, and there are not 1,000 extra spots. So we've had this conversation
How many
multiple
spots do we
times.
have?
We've
I'd
never
have
had
to
it
go
where
back
every
and answer
senior
that
won.
again. But there's not 1,000, there's not 1,000
No, but is
spots.
there enough for every senior? Is there
No,
500?
there's not.
But we've never had every, in all the years.
No,
since
we never- I know,
attended
I know.
high school,
I just
we've
wanted to
never
know
had
the
a full
number.
lot Like we did that year. It was crazy, it was crazy.
It's unsafe.
But, okay.
Thank
So, while we're complaining, since it's a complaining kind of night, can I complain about one other thing? I know, like time is up, they'll
Well,
be
her
back.
time, her time wasn't really
But
up
I'm
to it.
thinking, well, Masha, we're getting into it, but about the bathrooms, can you tell me, I had mentioned that so many of the bathrooms at the high school are never open, and I get why, again, the smoking and whatever goes on in them, but it still remains to be a problem. Is there anything we can figure out about it, when now they have to go, like a certain period of the day, I think, let's say the art wing bathroom is open. But if they're in the math wing, you know, and so they either get to class late, or they go in and ask, you know, can I run to the bathroom? The teacher says yes, but then by the time you get to the other wing and come back, now you've lost 10 minutes of class, 12 minutes,
If not,
you know.
if not more.
And you get marked late.
Sure.
And it really, I don't know what the answer is except for that.
Did for next year's budget.
I thought
Okay, we
that,
have monitors hired for next year till.
I know
Well,
that
that would be
doesn't show
great.
May and June, but
it doesn't, but
we
that.
put them in the budget for next year.
That would be great. All right, thank you.
I have a couple of
Thank you,
things
Deidre.
I'd like to ask.